Here are 5 marks that will appear when you meet God's choice for you. Number 1, your love for this person will grow bigger and bigger and not smaller and smaller. Infatuation starts strong and grows weaker over time. True love, however, often starts small and gets bigger over time. This occurs because infatuation is built upon what you hope to be true. You're filling in the gaps with your ideal. You don't know the facts. And true love grows over time because it's built on facts and reality. And that takes time to acquire. Biblically, it's really not that important how a relationship starts. Of course, it matters how it starts morally and, how you're connecting with each other. But what I mean is that it's okay if two people are instantly wildly attracted to each other or just super excited as soon as they meet each other, so long as that continues to grow in a mature, deepening way and it doesn't stay surface level and doesn't fade over time. And it's also just fine if two people meet each other and they don't have chemistry right away and they maybe aren't attracted to each other right away. But over time they get to know each other and then things start to change and it builds and then the excitement grows and then the feelings towards each other mature. The most important variable to consider if you want to know if you've met God's choice for you is consistency. Every relationship's gonna be unique, but what's consistent with healthy relationships is a deepening of the connection over time. If your feelings started strong but they're growing weaker over time, that's not a great sign this is actually God's choice for you. And just to clarify, I don't mean you'll have greater and greater butterflies in your stomach or puppy love. I mean that as time goes on, your relationship with this person will move past the season of infatuation and move into a deep, secure love that is rooted in joyful commitment and truth. Number 2, there will be an obvious and willing change in both of your relationships and interactions with the opposite sex. I don't think there's anything wrong with single Christian men and women being friends, even good friends in some instances. And the reason I think that is because in a lot of cases, those good friendships are actually the basis for a healthy future marriage. I don't think that men and women should be close friends for long periods of time because I think in those instances, bad things usually end up occurring in that one person ends up liking the other person, or they are scaring each other's future spouses away because they're just in no man's land together when they really want to be married, but they're just spending time with this person they're never going to date or marry. So again, I think that it's fine if two singles are growing together and have a great friendship, but eventually that needs to progress into dating or it needs to regress so that the couple can move on in healthy ways. Now, but back to the point here of how will you know who God's chosen person for you is that this idea isn't going to be a struggle with that person that God has for you. If they want to be close friends with the opposite sex still, and they still have men or women that they're spending one-on-one time with, and you just can't help them understand why that's not healthy because that you two are in a relationship right now, that's just a sign they're not mature enough, they don't get it, and they're not the one. Regardless of what people say, there will always be a different element involved when it comes to men and women. It's not appropriate for a man or woman to be close with someone else or spending one-on-one time with someone who is not their spouse or significant other. For as Ephesians 5:3 states, "But among you there must not be even a hint of sexual immorality." Number 3, God will use the barriers as bridges to bring you two even closer together. Rather than sparing you of problems when you meet God's choice for you, the Lord is going to use these problems for good in your life. So just because there's a storm doesn't mean that Jesus isn't in your boat. For as Mark 4:37-38 tells us about the disciples who were caught in a storm, and a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But Jesus was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. God's presence in your relationship does not always equate to calm waters. But when God is with you, you will be able to go to him, like the disciples did, so that he can rescue you and help you through the storms that are occurring. Mark 4:39-40, and he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. He said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" If a problem splits you two up, this was not God's choice for you. He will use the issues in your life to mature you and to bring you closer together through the power of his presence that are keeping you close. And if you're enjoying this video, I would really appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. That helps me accomplish the mission for this channel, which is to reach more people with biblical relationship advice. Number 4, God will make your two paths into one. Most Christians know the importance of being equally yoked. We know that you're supposed to date and marry another Christian, but just because you have the biblical boxes checked doesn't mean that you're actually on the same road in life. When you meet the person God's chosen for you, it doesn't mean you're going to agree upon every little thing. Of course, there's going to be compromise. You have to make sacrifices for each other. But there's a difference when you guys are just headed in such different wild directions in your life that the relationship just doesn't make sense. One of you would have to forsake your identity, your calling, the path that God's leading you on in a way that would hurt, and it would be extremely disappointing. When you meet the person God has for you, again, going to be sacrifices, but you're going to be headed in the generally same direction in life where you're both happy to serve the Lord together. Genesis 2:24, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And number 5, when you meet God's choice for you, when it's time to marry that person, all your doubts are going to vanish. I'm not saying that as soon as you lay eyes on the person that God's going to eventually allow you to marry, that you're instantly going to know this is the person I should marry. What I'm saying is that when you have actually met God's choice for you, when the time is right for you two to get married, God will make that very clear to you, because that's a huge decision in life, and he is going to bring a lot of confirmation to make sure that you're making a wise biblical decision. So you can date somebody that you have doubts about, because that's the point of dating. You don't want to be unwise. If you already know there's problems, then don't date them. But if you're unsure and you're not sure if you guys are compatible for marriage, that's the point of dating, to help have a season where God can answer those questions for you. You should never marry someone that you still have doubts about. When you meet God's choice for you, you will be able to agree with Psalm 118 verse 23. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. A thumbs up's a huge blessing. I'm Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com. Until next time, God bless.